Atlanta News First Plus starts now with a First Alert Weather Day.
Hi, everyone. It is Friday. Happy Friday, man. It's been a long week, hasn't it? Kind of stormy, kind of gross this week, and we're ending the week with perhaps the stormiest day we've seen in the last 7, okay? So we're going to see a cold front drop in tonight. That's going to be a boundary along which storms spark up. You see those storms already over there in Alabama? When storms start this early in the day, that tells me there's a lot of instability in the atmosphere. So while I'm not expecting storms until later on today, we can't rule out a few stray showers around noon in West Georgia. For the most part, it's going to be pretty sunny and very hot today. The hottest day in over 2 weeks, by the way. So that heat will help spark up the storms. Anytime after 5 p.m., that's when we're going to see those storms really bloom, and they're going to become widespread through the rest of the evening, okay? The greatest risk today is going to be for flash flooding. Not everyone is going to see storms, but the areas that do, these are going to be slow movers, and there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, a lot of what we call precipitable water. So we're looking at, it's called PWATS. When we look at the PWATS, if they're over 2 inches, that means there's over 2 inches of rain in the atmosphere. If you were to condense a cloud, you get 2 inches of rain. That's when we see a lot of moisture. That's what we're seeing today. So the flash flood threat, while it's low, I think that there is a very high threat for really heavy rain, some street flooding and things like that for your evening plans tonight. Low in risk for damaging winds. I do think we're going to see lightning in these storms, okay? High temperatures today. Again, the hottest of the month, 91 to 94 degrees. I think many areas will push the mid-90s this afternoon. And when you add the humidity to that, it will feel even hotter, all right? Probably feeling more like 100 this afternoon. So noon, again, Claiborne County, Randolph County, Alabama, perhaps a stray shower. But generally, it will be dry until around 5 p.m. By 6 p.m., those storms are sparking up as that cold front drops into metro Atlanta. They could start earlier in the mountains, but y'all, if this model verifies, this is the 0Z run of the HRRR model, which updates every hour, so it's pretty accurate. This could be a really stormy evening, okay? 10 p.m., it just still looks very rainy. So there's the potential of 3-4 hours of heavy rain in some spots, which could continue past midnight. So tomorrow, a little bit different. That front stalls in our area. The coverage will be slightly lower, okay? But I still think areas south of I-20 are going to see another pretty stormy afternoon. And even though the coverage is lower, all the same threats are still at play. Look at Oconee, Lake Oconee tomorrow around dinner time. Widespread storms. Thomaston as well, Griffin, Eatonton, even Metro Atlanta, even the mountains could see storms tomorrow. Coverage will be at about 40% tomorrow, okay? So something that we'll be watching closely. So today and tomorrow look stormy, but today definitely looks like the greater impact this evening. By Sunday, though, that's when we see the big change. Dry air settles in behind that front. So if you're trying to make outdoor plans, concrete outdoor plans where you're not going to be interrupted by storms, Sunday is the better day to do so. I think rain chances below 20% on Sunday, okay? It is going to stay quite hot through the weekend, low 90s. Through the weekend, we start out next week at 95 degrees on Monday. Wow. Okay? That'll be the hottest of the month so far. We'll see isolated thunderstorms Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, but after today and tomorrow, the next stormy day looks like it'll be towards the end of next week, okay? Let's talk about Tropical Storm Erin. This thing is really starting to strengthen. It's getting the inner wall. We're seeing the classic signs that this is going to become a hurricane, and it's very close to being a hurricane. Winds in the center of the storm are 70 miles per hour, 74 miles per hour, hurricane force winds. So it's right below that criteria. We're going to get an update from the National Hurricane Center at 11, and Ronnie's going to bring you an update on that. It could definitely be a hurricane, upgraded to a hurricane in just the next hour, certainly by this afternoon. You can see it's still about 500 miles from the Windward Islands. See that little orange box? That's St. Bart's and also the British Virgin Islands, both of which are under tropical storm watches. So while this storm is not going to make landfall, the outer bands or tropical storm force winds are going to reach those islands. That's the reason they're under that tropical storm watch. So here's its current track. Again, reaching a hurricane by later today. By Sunday, it's a major Category 3 storm, so it's entering into that very kind of more shallow, really warm water of the Caribbean, so it's going to strengthen very quickly. Look how close it comes to Turks and Caicos, okay, as a Category 4 storm. The The winds from the storm extend about 70 miles out from the center. I still think it's far enough away at this time from Turks and Caicos that they will not see major impacts. The Bahamas certainly going to miss the major impacts, but we're going to be watching closely because we're seeing a little bit of a westward shift with the track of this storm system. So it misses the Bahamas. It's still a major hurricane Wednesday of next week, and you can see the cone of uncertainty does kind of have it pointed towards North Carolina. I will say the spaghetti models, most of the models are still keeping this thing a couple hundred miles off of the coast of North Carolina. But some of our short-range data is starting to come in, and those short-range models are way further westward than our long-range models. So we're going to have to watch this very carefully next week. While we are not going to see impacts here in Georgia, North Carolina is going to have to be on high alert. So I just want to show you what that looks like. Again, some of the easternmost islands of Turks and Caicos could see impacts from this hurricane, not hurricane force winds, but tropical storm force winds, okay? That would be Monday of next week. It totally misses the Bahamas. And then check this out. This is the Euro model, still has it as a major hurricane Wednesday of next week. About 300 miles off of the coast of the Outer Banks. If it takes this track, they're going to see maybe a riptide alert, some pretty gusty winds, but maybe a little bit of rain, but not really huge impacts. I will say the eastern side of hurricanes are always the strongest. So because this is the western side, there's even a lower risk of big impacts. But North Carolina, the Outer Banks, that whole area is going to have to watch middle to late next week. And then it's going to surge back out to sea. New England's going to totally miss this storm, okay? So again, I do expect a hurricane by later today. And it's something that we'll be watching very carefully through the weekend. And we'll be bringing you updates. If you guys want detailed updates, download the First Alert Weather app because we're sending detailed updates on that app every time we get them, okay? All right, y'all. I'll be back on Atlanta News First at noon. I will also bring you an update then on the tropics. See you then.
Stay up to date on your latest weather from the largest team of meteorologists in the Southeast. Download the First Alert Weather app for hour-by-hour forecasts and join us every weekday at 11:30 a.m. on ANF+. You can also